National Economic Council moves to protect riverine households, promotes local farm tools. National Assembly and Presidential Economic Team agree on immediate 2025 capital budget implementation. And Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, leads government delegation to pitch Nigeria's bid for 2030 Commonwealth Games. Hello, welcome to the late evening news at 11 on NTA News 24. We are broadcasting live from Abuja. I am Chinenye Woyi. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will visit Kaduna State on Friday to attend the wedding ceremony between Nasiruddin Yari and Sefia Shehu Idris. Nasiruddin is the son of the senator representing Zamfara West, Abdulaziz Yari. A press release issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy says President Tinubu will also pay a courtesy visit on Aisha Buhari, the former First Lady and widow of the late former President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, at the family residence in Kaduna. The President will return to Abuja on the same day after the visit. The National Economic Council is finalizing arrangements to ensure implementation of the Anticipatory Action Framework intended to protect vulnerable households and enable timely and dignified interventions for the riverine areas in Nigeria. This is one of the major outcomes of the Council's meeting this Thursday at the State House. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports that the Council is also working out plans to encourage local production of small farm implements.
The 152nd meeting of the National Economic Council is certainly not one of the most attended. Yet, the discussions and resolutions are far-reaching under the chairmanship of Vice President Kashim Shettima. The rains are winding down for the year and the flooding about to peak. Fears are imminent again for Nigerians in the riverine areas and those along the riverbanks. The perennial challenge got attention of the Council as it received a briefing from the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, on the Anticipatory Action Framework, mainly to protect the vulnerable households across the country.
The objectives of the Anticipatory Action Framework include, but not limited to, protect vulnerable households, enable timely and dignified interventions before flooding peaks, focus on equity, ensuring no community is left behind, amongst others. However, Council resolved that the scope of the framework has to be widened in order to include more states and submit final document for ratification at the next meeting of NEC. Most importantly, Council has also considered the inclusion of measures that will be taken to ensure medium and longer term sustainable solutions that will prevent flooding or reduce the flooding rather than the shorter term non-sustainable solution.
Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi presented a memo seeking federal state action towards addressing the challenge of cost of production aggravated by lack of access to affordable energy and fertilizer, particularly for smallholder farmers.
Meaning that opening the door, bringing in more players into the production of fertilizer, and through either giving incentives or so. So the framework will come up, and that will show that by the time it's a concept of demand and supply. The more players are in, it becomes more competitive, and therefore the likelihood of dropping the price of fertilizer is likely to happen. So that's exactly the concept we are asking for the mandate to be given to the Presidential Implementation Committee.
the council moved a step up for solution as the vice president led members to inspect samples of battery-backed solar power irrigation pumps proudly made in Nigeria by the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI.
These pumps, they're supposed to replace fuel-driven, petrol-powered systems and lower energy costs for farmers, improve irrigation access in off-grid areas, reinforce Nigeria's food security strategy.
So compatible, it's not as good as these other ones.
NASENI assures the council of its capacity to produce about 100,000 pumps of this type monthly, and so the council resolved to notify the president on this towards working out more funding for the agency and support local production of the implements. From the State House, Musbah Dan Wahab, NTA News.
Nigeria has expressed its readiness, if granted, to host the Commonwealth Games slated for 2030, tagged Abuja 2023. Representing President Bola Tinubu, Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila led a federal government delegation in a meeting to further convince the Commonwealth Sports Bid Evaluation Committee at the State House. Again, State House correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab reports.
I believe to support the bid.
Nigeria is taking a step forward towards securing the hosting rights for the 2030 Commonwealth Games. Having hosted an edition of the All-African Games, FIFA Under-17 and Under-20 World Cups, as well as some continental championships, the Commonwealth Games remain one of the top global sporting events yet eluding the country. Similarly, no African country has ever hosted the Games, despite 22 Commonwealth countries on the continent. And with the support of other African member nations, Nigeria is facing India in the final stage of bidding.
The time has come for Nigeria, and indeed all Africa, to offer the warm embrace of her hospitality, the grandeur of her culture, and the passion of her people to the Commonwealth Games. Our bid is grounded in the conviction that the 2030 game in Nigeria will not only celebrate sport, but will also ignite a legacy of transformation across our continent.
I can assure you, we're ready, we're willing, we're able, and we actually want this.
Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, emphasized the characteristic aim of the Commonwealth as an umbrella of unity and diversity, which he says qualifies Nigeria for the hosting rights.
Nigeria has set on this administration, particularly on some bold reforms to reposition sports as a strategic driver of national development. Our role within this family has always been clear, to stand for unity, equality, and progress. Beyond the infrastructure, which is very important in terms of your evaluation, so there's some intangibles that you can't even put your finger on. That is what you will find in abundance, apart from the infrastructural development, in abundance in Nigeria. You know, the people, their warmth, their hospitality.
Other stakeholders justified Nigeria's position as the country promises to partner the private sector and civil society organizations to ensure that every aspect of the Games meets international standard if granted.
Bidding to host the Commonwealth Games clearly aligns and is in tune with the vision of Mr. President to drive this vision. And we believe if we get the opportunity to host the Commonwealth Games in 2030, it will create so much massive positive for the country, not just in terms of sports, but in terms of infrastructure development and wealth creation.
This country has one of the biggest sports market in the world, has one of the biggest population of sport enthusiasts in the world, beyond football. This is the time to be our friend, to support us. Let's have the Commonwealth Games here in Nigeria 2030.
We look at games now very, very different in relation to the bidding process, very, very different to what happened in the past in relation to the way these games were awarded.
Nigeria is slated to make presentation of a final bid slated for September 24 in London. From the State House, Musbah Then Wahab, NTA News.
The National Assembly Joint Committee on Appropriations has reached an agreement with the National Economic Team towards immediate commencement of implementation of the capital component of the 2025 budget. At a meeting this Thursday, which resolved into closed door, both sides also affirmed earlier commitment with regards to withdrawal of circular issued by the federal government on the award of contracts. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
2026 is a couple of months away, and the National Assembly is expectant of another budget bill from the executive. This meeting between the Senate and House of Representatives Joint Committee on Appropriations and the National Economic Team is convened to look at pending issues like the implementation of the capital component of the 2024 budget, which is ongoing, as well as the state of the implementation of the 2025 budget, with particular reference to the capital components. The meeting adopted agreements reached at an earlier interaction between the economic team and the House of Representatives on the award of contracts for projects approved in the 2025 budget, which had been put on hold.
There are resolutions that have been reached with the executive, which include, number one, issuance of the authority to incur expenditure for 30% funding of the 2025 budgets. That's one. Number two, that the existing budget of 2024, we have to go all the way to December of 2025.
The 2025 budget implementation will commence as soon as possible, and AIE will be issued within 7 days after our discussions. That authority to inquire expenditure.
Members of the economic team in attendance include Minister of Finance, that of Budget and Economic Planning, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Director General Budget Office. The meeting resolved into a closed session that lasted for about 2 hours, details of which were not made public. Elsewhere, the Senate Committee on Health, as well as that of FCT area councils, met with executives of the Association of Resident Doctors and appealed that the striking FCT resident doctors should resume work. The lawmakers promised to meet with the FCT minister for a quick resolution of the impasse.
I'm giving you my own commitment now. I want to plead with you now before my distinguished colleagues. All of this right, give us the opportunity to discuss with them. Like me, I'm going to see the minister personally today by the latest tomorrow.
Soon and very soon, we'll get back to Nigerians on our position.
The resident doctors in FCT declared an indefinite strike last week over what they called unmet demands. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The federal government says it remains committed to strengthening Nigeria's pension sector for social protection, inclusive economic growth, and as a catalyst for national development. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, stated this while inaugurating the Pension Industry Leadership Council in Abuja. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Nigeria's pension sector has come a long way from 2004 with dynamic reforms introduced to reposition it despite numerous challenges. This necessitates the need for a unified council to set direction, build trust, and safeguard the future of millions of Nigerian workers. While inaugurating the council members, the SGF believes that every Nigerian who labors today must be guaranteed dignity and security tomorrow.
The Council must aim to expand the coverage to the informal sector by scaling up the micro-pension plan, designing incentives such as digital platforms, mobile payment integration, and tax reliefs to attract artisans, traders, and SMEs.
We will strengthen public confidence so pension remains a promise kept.
We are going to have an enhanced compliance because the decision is taken jointly.
At a media briefing, Director General Omolola Oluwaroran announced a bold reform of Pension Revolution 2.0 under the Tinubu-led administration.
Under the CPS, the PFAs are not owing anybody. I mean, the government isn't owing anybody as well. All accrued rights are being paid up to September.
Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
This is the late evening news at 11 on NTA News 24. We'll take a break here. There will be more reports when we return. Do stay.
Power of precision, engineered to perfection. Every component is crafted with care, and each design is meticulously tested. From concept to creation, our engineers push the boundaries of technology, seamlessly blending performance and sustainability with a deep commitment to African ingenuity. Introducing the CNG Boss, a remarkable achievement in engineering designed to operate on compressed natural gas, a cleaner and more sustainable fuel alternative. At Innocent Vehicles, we proudly lead the way in creating greener mobility across Africa. And it doesn't stop there. From SUVs to sedans, spacious buses to electric cars, Innocent offers a wide range of models designed to meet every need. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African roads.
Thanks for staying on. Rivers State House of Assembly has resumed sitting after 6 months of emergency rule. Speaker Martin Amaule presided over the sitting, where the House called on Governor Fubara to commence the process of coming up with an appropriation law for the remaining parts of the year to address current realities. Nkiru Onyejesi reports.
Lawmakers are elected to be back. Speaker Martin Amaule soon walks in and plenary begins. There's only one item on the other paper, a motion moved by the House Leader, Major Jack.
Mr. Speaker, we should also be aware that Rivers State Executive Council needs to be fully constituted.
Other lawmakers call on Governor Fubara to send the list of commissioner designates for screening and confirmation.
To commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for restoring democratic institutions in the state.
The Speaker summarized the plenary with a request to Governor Fubara to send the budget to the Assembly for the rest of the year.
The Rivers State House of Assembly will continue to abide by the terms of the peace plan between us, the governor, and all stakeholders for the interest of this state and of course for the good governance of their states.
All eyes are on the Assembly to fully resume amicable relationship with the executive for the state to move forward. In Port Harcourt, Nkiru Onyejesi, NTA News.
The Minister of Interior says the days of long waits and passport backlogs are numbered. He gave the assurance while inspecting the Data Personalization Center at the Nigeria Immigration Service headquarters in Abuja. Victor Azu reports.
At the core of passport production is the Data Personalization Center, where biometric data is processed and security features are stamped in. For Minister Olubunmi Tunjioju, seeing the process up close was necessary to make sure reforms deliver real results.
We now have a system here that will bring an end forever to the era of backlog, because production can be done at record time.
The minister says the new center will cut delays and restore public confidence in Nigeria's passport system. He insists technology and oversight must go together to deliver faster, smarter service to Nigerians at home and abroad.
We're doing about 250, 300 per machine per day. Today, the system that you've seen does about 1,000 per hour. Within 4 or 5 hours of working, NIS can provide solutions to the demand of Nigerians.
With reforms picking up pace, the old bottlenecks of passport application may soon give way to efficiency, transparency, and trust. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
To further strengthen coordination and for rapid development in the livestock industry, the Ministry of Livestock Development has unveiled a 5-year National Livestock Master Plan designed to unlock the vast potentials in the sector. Yusuf Jika reports that the plan is developed by Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support in collaboration with Bill and Melinda Gates and International Livestock Research Institute in Kenya.
Nigeria's livestock industry accounts for approximately 17% of agricultural GDP and 5% of the national gross domestic product, impacting on millions of Nigerians through employment, food security, and rural development. And to fast-track efforts in modernizing the industry and addressing challenges of low productivity, disease, inadequate infrastructure, and limited access to market, the unveiling of this 5-year master plan came handy. Its objective is to guide the development of the sustainable livestock sector and attract targeted investments from the government, development partners, and the private sector, prioritizing key value chains and policy interventions.
The goalpost. This is the way to go. And today we have launched the master plan, and we will now put it in the public domain so that, like I said, everybody, every stakeholder in the livestock sector will know their own piece of action that we want to come and play with us in the way of implementing this.
This is a comprehensive document that will be socialized across our states through the National Economic Council, I believe. Then the document will be of benefit to the private sector, especially the private sector, the roles of the private sector, role of government, and the role of the livestock farmers.
While the plan moves to accelerate development in the industry, it considers gender inclusion, women and youth empowerment, equity, and environmental sustainability. In Abuja, Yusuf Jika, NTN News.
The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, has issued a flood warning to communities along the River Niger and River Benue, urging them to take precautionary measures to protect lives and property. In a statement signed by NISA's Director General Umar Ibrahim Mohammed, the agency provided an update on river flow conditions and the dam water levels across the country. According to the statement, both the Niger and Benue rivers have reached peak levels, significantly increasing the risk of flooding in nearby areas. Tributaries of these major rivers, Rima, Kaduna, and Gongola, have also reached peak flow levels. In addition, several major dams across Nigeria are experiencing rising reservoir levels due to the height of the rainy season. NISA noted that it is actively collaborating with dam authorities nationwide to reduce the potential impact of flooding on downstream communities, particularly those considered vulnerable. Traditional rulers in Zamfara State commend the Department of State Services, DSS, for its recent operational breakthroughs against criminal networks in the state. They particularly hailed the arrest of 2 arms couriers along the Funtua-Gusau Expressway. The monarch's position, conveyed through the Emir of Anka and Chairman of the State Council of Chiefs, Dr. Atahiru Muhammad Ahmad, states that the suspects are intercepted while allegedly transporting 5 AK-47 rifles, ammunition, walkie-talkies, and cash to a notorious bandit. He describes the operation as a major blow to bandits and proof of security agencies' resolve to end insecurity. The saying that if there is life, there is hope has played out as the Katsina-based businessman Anas Ahmadu, his pregnant wife Halima Ibrahim, and a little daughter who were kidnapped last month regained freedom. Suleiman Kodogi reports that the kidnapped victims were released Wednesday night after spending 21 days in captivity.
Last month, Katsina State Police Command confirmed the killing of a vigilante, Abdullah Ibrahim, and the abduction of a man identified as Anas Ahmadu, his wife Halima Ibrahim, and their little daughter in Katsina Metropolis. After spending 21 days in captivity, And with the combined efforts of the security operatives and guard on their side, they were set free. One of the family members who spoke on the condition of anonymity confirmed that ransom was paid before securing their release. DSP Aliu Abubakar Sadiq is the police public relations officer, Katsina Command.
On our own part, we continue with our investigation, and all hands are on deck to ensure the arrest of the perpetrators of these ungodly acts.
Meanwhile, the released victims are still at a health facility in Katsina town receiving medical attention before reuniting with their family. Suleiman Kodogi, NTA News.
And that concludes the late evening news at 11 on NTN News 24. Many thanks for watching. I am Chinenye Nwui.
For accurate and up-to-date information, for insightful and real-time education and entertainment, NTN News 24 is a station of choice. And that is why our watchword is news